Jackson-Bey. I'm a doctor here, infertility specialist with RMA of New York, and primarily seeing, couples, individuals who are working really hard to get pregnant and unfortunately have not been able to so far. But we see people for so many different reasons. We're seeing lots more fertility preservation than I think anybody could have imagined. I mean, we were analyzing some data recently, and probably up to 40% of the practice, in my practice now, is egg freezers. We're seeing people who just want to know what their options are. I feel like I'm hearing that more this year. I'm like, did I miss a podcast or something? Like, everyone comes in with the same line. I just want to know what it could be. But that's good too, because that opens up so much conversation. We're making diagnoses that are important. We're directing people appropriately to resources in the community. And so that all of these different things kind of converge here. We want to make sure that we're providing good care, but also want to make sure that you're aware of resources that are available for yourselves, people you know, for your patients. And that is a big reason why I wanted to invite Camille Hammond to come and be a part of this as well. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm excited to meet so many of you all. I'm Camille Hammond, CEO of the CADE Foundation, a nonprofit that supports families with infertility. And this has also been a huge year, probably for different reasons, for the CADE Foundation. More people are becoming aware, first of all, that infertility is a thing, and also aware that they need support. And so we've seen record numbers of people applying for grants. Unfortunately, we haven't necessarily been able to fund more people, but we can certainly support everyone with education and hopefully help them access resources and tools so that they can build their families. So infertility, we recently did a newsletter, and the title was Healing for the Holidays, because the holidays are this October through December or through January 1 set of holidays, and Halloween is a big part of that. For anybody who's thinking, why October? Because kids get dressed up for Halloween. We know that is one of the hardest stretches of the year for families that struggle with infertility, because the focus is always on family and little people and babies and, are you blessed? Are you not blessed? And all these things. And so this is the time, I think, where we can provide a little bit more support, so that people have strategies and they're able to move into 2024 not feeling so deflated. And I don't want it to be negative, and I don't want this to feel like it's a depressing conversation, but this is real. This is what people are dealing with. And so I think T and I wanted to have a little bit of a conversation, but involve you. So this is more of a critical conversation between all of us, not just us talking to you. We want to talk with you so that we together can come up with ideas that can help everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one of the biggest things that we talked about is actual strategies, because we're providers and we all work in this space, but everyone's also at different levels of their own journey and story, and that's something that's not always appreciated. So we were talking a little bit about what are some of the strategies that you can use to help people through the season. And I'll be the first to admit, I think of Mother's Day and Christmas, big child-focused, parent-focused holidays. Halloween escaped me. And to hear how sad some people are about having that milestone when children dress up and it's this focus, and they feel very triggered by that experience. So it just kind of made me also more aware of how we show up and help and support. Mm-hmm. So I know you talk about a lot about, the ways in which people can kind of arm themselves and just be ready. What do you kind of offer as support during the holidays, or something that people could use as a tool?
I think it's important to check in with yourself and to remember your why. From about December, let's say 20th through about January 2nd, everything pretty much shuts down. Businesses are open less, and people are certainly not engaged to the same degree working, because they're thinking about their holiday and taking time off. And that's time that we can also check in with ourselves and remember our why. Why am I doing this? We can get so caught up in the what's next. Okay, I had a period this month. when I thought I was pregnant, so I need to schedule an appointment with the doctor. Oh, the doctor's busy until that point, so let me go get acupuncture. We spend our time running around, and it can get to the point where you forget, why am I doing this? Because this just doesn't make sense. So I would say check in with yourself, check in with your partner, and if your why has changed, that's okay, because you can start 24 fresh with that new perspective. What about you? What are some things that you think?
I mean, I talked a lot about, giving people grace, giving yourself grace. If you need to take a break from festivities, you can do that. I think, something that I hear a lot about is people really feeling guilty for not feeling happy for a friend who makes an announcement, or for not wanting to attend a baby shower. Oh my God, it's so controversial. And we know on the other side of that, like, oh, she didn't show up to my baby shower. Like, what does that mean? But, I think being able to opt out is a super important tool. Like, you have to be able to take care of yourself first. And if the event maybe is going to make you feel worse, then that's true. Now, you may not always be able to do that in the workplace, right?
That's correct.
And so sometimes there may be other challenges that you do have to kind of navigate and work around. I know Andrea, had a lot of conversations on boundaries. Share with us what you would talk about with patients or with anyone who is going through it about boundaries that they can set.
And even in the workplace, I think if you're willing to make your employer aware of what you're going through, they may be able to serve almost as an advocate, so that if there is a workplace baby shower, for instance, planned, let you know it's okay if you take off that day, or if you do something else, so you don't have to feel obligated. Boundaries, expressing your needs, so on and so forth. And I'll add, if you're in a position
I was just about to say, if you're the employer,
yes, yes,
because that comes up a lot too, is we have to remember that people are going through so much. We've seen in the media recently that some countries are giving people paid leave for miscarriages.
That's right.
Like, that is unheard of, and just being able to give honor to this is not something you just want to come to work the next day,
That's right.
when you're going through something like that.
That's right.
So we have to remember to kind of be compassionate and be tapped in as well.
I want to also follow up on what Tia mentioned about fertility preservation. This is a time where people are many times generous. They're feeling very generous. Feel free to gift a cycle of fertility preservation to a young woman that she may use later in life. We don't know if people are going to need it, but it's almost like insurance. You can't get them back. You have to have it in order to use it at a later point in time. So the gift of fertility preservation, I think, is one that gives for a long time.
Yeah. Another thing is also to talk to your employers. I feel bad, but a lot of times I have to throw the ball back in a patient's court and say, go to HR.
Yes.
Demand that they should be covering this, and let them know that this is a service that's wanted amongst the employees. Because fertility preservation, I really think is a game changer. To be able to tap into your current fertility or your past fertility at a current time it's really going to separate people who can have options later in life versus who can't. And so we're seeing this, a lot of people talk about Gen Z and all of the trends from this generation, but this is something that they seem to get. One, that they have access, right? But two, they just have an interest in a different way that I think is really gonna make a huge difference in the future. So instead of, car when you graduate high school, or that, backpacking through Europe trip, they're probably gonna see more people, gifting egg freezing cycles for young people. I think it's gonna be a big thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've shared a lot. Let's start the conversation now. What are some strategies that you guys have that would allow people to overcome infertility during these holidays? And by overcome, I don't mean get pregnant or bring home a baby. I mean stay in your right mind. What are some of the boundaries that you've been able to identify even in your own workplace? Let's talk about ways that we together, let's crowd share ideas about this topic.